two. I said microphone check. 1, 2. Can't nobody out here do it like me. Ain't nobody out here winning like me. Can't nobody out here do it like me. Just like me, like me. Can't nobody out here do it like me. Ain't nobody out here winning like me. Can't nobody out here do it like me. Just like me, like me.
What's up, everybody? Good evening and welcome in to a very special episode of Aces Wild Chicago Sports Takes here on the Undefeated Sports Network. As always, I am Andrew Taribill. To my left is my partner in crime, the man, the myth, the legend, the poker chip face guy himself, Angelo Ace Camacho. And we are live with you this evening. A little bit of late start due to some technical difficulties, but we are on and going. So got a lot of Bears news to talk about. It's a wonderful time to be a Chicago Bears fan, everybody. Real quick, before we get into it, the music that you hear and the clips in this show are not owned by Aces Wild Sports Takes. We have to say that so we don't get DCMA'd, guys. So
that's true. I was going to rock that forward hat all night, but it's not me right now.
You made it the first 2 minutes and 6 seconds into the show.
1 minute and 37 seconds. But yeah,
good for you. I was giving you a little credit, but no. So Ace, what's up, man? How's it going?
Oh, Taribill, let me tell you, it is the last show we did was 2 weeks ago when the schedule released, and I mean we might be drinking the Kool-Aid. I did have some Don in my cup before. I was
what's in that solo cup right now? Ace?
It's a little Don again. That's just what I do. Tequila's my go-to. Helps loosen me up a little bit, and I get that's when you get the best me. That's when the real Ace comes out to play, you know what I'm saying? And but we Tequila did
Ace's hat go forward. I don't know.
No, I've turned that shit around. But no, so the last show we did was 2 weeks ago, schedule release. Right. We were sipping the Kool-Aid. At least I was. I have the Bears for a little recap. I have them at 13-4, only losing 4 games this year, which
is absolutely wild. But
is it though?
I mean,
it's Aces wild. You know what I'm saying?
What was my record? I mean,
12-5. So
it's not like we were that far off.
And realistically, like we've always talked in the NFL. Everybody's pretty much 8-8, and then it's just like, okay, you miss a field goal to lose a game, a fumble costs you a game, an interception, pick six costs you this game over that game. The Bears last year, it was one of the most.
It was lost in literally.
Well, didn't they? What wasn't there a 14-game losing streak? Right, I remember that. Yeah. Right, yeah, 14 correct. Games of my life, 14 weeks. I sat with hope, and I'm like, oh, today is the day. The Bears are going to get that win to break this. No, they didn't.
Nope, they didn't. So
no, they did not.
As painful as that was, Ace, you've got them winning 14 games this season, right?
13 games.
Sorry, 13. Let me back up. Excuse me. So you've got the Bears winning 13 games.
Yes.
I've got the Bears winning 12 games, where I did the last time we met. I think that's settled down to reality a little bit, and I'm back in the 10 to 11 win range, but we'll see, man. I'm excited to
10
see
to
what
11.
the Chicago Bears team can
listen,
do.
We already went through the schedule, so I'm really not trying to go back through
We're not backtracking. No. Stop it.
You stuck with 12. 12 is where we're at. We're not going back. We don't go backwards.
All
we
right,
go forward.
12 is where we're at. I'll own up to it, and I'll say 12 games. So the Chicago Bears obviously have been getting a lot of attention in the national media. Everybody's watching Caleb Williams with a fine-tooth comb. He has not the greatest day in OTAs, and that's published everywhere that there's concerns that he got picked off. Parody accounts are saying he was benched for Tyson Bagent halfway through the practice, which is absolutely ridiculous. But looking at where the Chicago Bears roster is already, seeing the OTAs, these voluntary practices these guys are showing up for. DJ Moore was caught on film, so to speak, today, catching a nice pass from Caleb. And shout out to the guys over at CHGO. I saw Nicholas Moriano posted a video talking about the deep shot to Roma Dunze on the sideline that was really good during individuals.
I have
7-on-7
Adam Johns tweeted about it, saying that he went 13 for 15 and 7-on-7 against the first team defense. One incompletion resulted in a DPI. He threw a dart over the field, including a touchdown to DJ Moore. Wilson and the offense also won situational drills, ending with a field goal and the lead. And that's how it ended.
So that takes us right into our first topic here for the evening, which you already touched on. That's Williams shining in 7-on-7. So is the hype too much too soon, Ace? Can Caleb Williams have a fast start to the season, or do you think there's going to be some growing pains?
All right. I think, realistically speaking, right, no Kool-Aid talk right now.
13 games. Remember.
Yeah, and I have him winning like 6 of the. I have him going 6-0, I believe, to start.
Yeah, that's wild.
So
that's why this case is wild.
Is it too hype too soon? I don't think so. The dude came out as one of the top draft prospects of any quarterback since Andrew Luck. He's supposed to be touted as.
All right, I'm going to stop you there because I really dislike the Andrew Luck comparison. Andrew Luck was great for like 4 years, and then he just shit on the entire Colts organization.
Well, dude,
I'm going to retire.
Did he shit on them, or did they shit on him by not giving him an offensive line?
A little bit of both, but I mean,
yeah, to retire at the third preseason game, that's a little rough to navigate, you know.
So I don't want Caleb Williams to come out here and play 6 years and then be done because he's been so beaten up and annihilated.
Too much fucking money and won 6 Super Bowls, and then he's like, I retire. Like, okay.
No, I want Caleb Williams to be able to have a longevity-filled career here in Chicago of 10 plus years, Ace. That's the expectation, right? Is
he only wants to play for one team.
Drafted the guy, quote unquote, which has been such an elusive term in Chicago. We have touched on it. Our followers know that have followed us for a long time. I always go back to that comparison of the Green Bay Packers and the Bears. And in 25 years, Green Bay has had 3 starting quarterbacks, and the Bears have had like 30. It's ridiculous. Those may not be the exact numbers, but you guys get the point. The quarterback position has been the most inconsistent position for the Chicago Bears over the last stretch of 25 years, and it's shown.
It's no surprise, or that's not like a spoiler alert. The Bears have been ass at the quarterback position.
Which is exactly why the Chicago Bears have had such mediocre seasons, even with great offensive talent like Alshon Jeffrey and Brandon Marshall back in the day. But looking forward, not going backward, I would say that what's most exciting about the Chicago Bears offense is that you have 4 guys on your offense, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, and DeAndre Swift, who are all capable of eclipsing 1,000 yards. So it's, so to speak, going to be a race to 1,000 between the receivers. And then I think Swift obviously is going to have a mix of carries and catching the ball out of the backfield, but there's so much.
No Bears quarterback. No Bears quarterback has thrown for over 4,000 yards.
Shane McMahon. No, Eric Kramer. Eric Kramer is the leader there, I believe.
Yeah. Well, how many yards? That's my job.
30,
That's my job. Hold on.
35 is what I'm going to say. We'll see how close that was, Ace. But, you know, consistency has been an issue for the Chicago Bears at quarterback. We finally have this guy who's going to, quote unquote, take us to the promised land after so many years of mediocre quarterback play. I'm going to hate on your feelings a little bit, Ace, and say Jay Cutler was mediocre. He quit on the Bears when they needed him most. So
what do you listen?
NFC Championship game.
It's not fair to talk about Cutler on this show when I don't have the Cutler drop for this show. That's on the Out of Hibernation show, so I can't do the Cutler drop.
I knew you couldn't, and that's why I decided to hate on him a little bit tonight.
Listen,
but
Cutler,
ultimately, like,
Cutler was the best quarterback to wear a Bears jersey in the last fucking 20 years.
That's not saying much. The bar is not very high.
Well, okay, but it's facts are facts, right?
Justin Fields finished with a career passer rating worse than Mitchell Trubisky. And we drove that guy out of town.
You can't drop that kind of shit on me when I'm drinking, man.
The people
doesn't work that way.
So the people in the Justin Fields camp that are still criticizing every single move that Caleb Williams makes, he's probably going to return kicks and punts for the Steelers. That's a real possibility, guys. So ultimately, back to our Chicago Bears, back to what's coming forward for the Chicago Bears offense. 7-on-7 was great today. The first, I don't want to say public because it's not public yet, but the first media access practice that there was 7-on-7s. There were some concerns that he wasn't just throwing darts right away, but you do have to remember the Chicago Bears offense was top 10 in the league through the last stretch of 7 games last season. So
defense.
That's what I said.
You said offense.
I said defense. I meant
we'll check the tape later.
Yeah.
I'll bring it back next week.
Oh. The defense was top 10 through the last 7 games of the season last year, and it's not like these guys aren't going to put pressure on Caleb, right?
Well, it's a pro defense. His first time going up against a pro defense.
So it's to be expected that there's going to be a little bit of growing pains, and I don't care how many incompletions or interceptions Caleb Williams throws during 7-on-7 or practice, OTAs, whatever the case is. Until it's week 1, I really don't care. It's all growing and learning the playbook, getting used to the offensive scheme, the formation, the way they call the plays in and out of the huddle. Those things are to be expected. Getting the route timing down with the receivers.
Everybody watching, most people watching, have had a new job, right? You might have been good, learned a little bit maybe at a previous job, and then you go to your new job, and it's similar, right? But
even
there's
if it's the usually
people, right? Even if it's the same role, usually there's people who are already a little bit ahead of you that have worked there, right? So you have to learn where you stand. And he said it first, like he needs to learn before he can be a leader. And like to expect him to go into practice and just dissect the playbook like it's nothing, go against a top 10 defense like it's nothing, is unrealistic completely.
Absolutely. And I think that's what people tend to forget. As much as, we're drinking the Kool-Aid over here on the Undefeated Sports Network and backing Caleb Williams being in his corner, he's a rookie at the end of the day, and he's going to have growing pains and a few mistakes here and there. Hopefully it doesn't translate to the field. But this early, absolutely. Make the mistakes now rather than later, right? So that's ultimately what it boils down to.
And even the defensive players came out and said, like, yeah, he did really well the first week or the first practice, and then they got after him the second one. And that's what you do. That's what all the NFL does. Every team, they look at what a quarterback does well, and then they go and make adjustments to that. That's all. That's all football is making adjustments the whole season, every game, every drive, every quarter.
So I think that moves us into our next topic, Ace, as we're naturally going to progress throughout the evening, guys. Hard Knocks is finally coming to the city of Chicago. So as much as George was probably cringing when he saw this happen, I learned something about George McCaskey today. So George McCaskey lives out here relatively close to me, about 35 minutes from where I currently reside. He actually umpires high school softball games.
Really?
Swear to God. Been doing it for like 16 years. They love him in the community as an umpire. It's wild.
I didn't know that.
But George was probably cringing as he was pulling out his umpire gear because it's been repeatedly said that the McCaskeys don't want the distraction in the locker room, right? They have said over and over again that we don't want the distraction. The cameras are extra attention we don't need. It takes away from the integrity and durability of the practice, whatever. I don't know. all that bullshit that doesn't matter. The Chicago Bears are finally.
Yeah, that's very 1985 mentality.
Yeah, the Chicago Bears are finally going to be featured on HBO's Hard Knocks series. Looking forward to it tremendously. I know you are as well, Ace.
Very much.
As we're both big fans of the series. So
I'm such a meticulous person, right? And I like to see how things work. And I like behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I'm that way with like wrestling and stuff too. I like documentaries and stuff. Growing up, I read a lot of like documentary, or I watched a lot of documentaries about athletes and this and that, and read a lot about certain guys that I favored, and just because I like to get that behind the scenes, And
are you nervous? What are we doing here?
It's a nervous thing. I don't know, but to see my favorite team, my favorite Chicago sports team, and I say that wholeheartedly. I love the Cubs, I love the Bulls, I love the Blackhawks, but the Bears
There is nothing like Bears football, right?
There is nothing like, well, and so my father, right, he's the reason that the Bears love is as crazy as it is. I remember being 10 years old watching the Bears just shit all over themselves, and this guy is just going at it at the TV the whole time. And the neighbors all know that we're Bears fans because they can hear it, and
So your dad, didn't he drive a couple Bears players back in the day? Because he was...
Yeah, he used to drive limos down in the city, and I think Steve McMichael was one, and I forget a couple of the other ones. But yeah, he used to drive. Yeah, and so he's had a affiliation with the Bears for a long time. And growing up, when the Bears made it to the Super Bowl, when they beat the Saints to go to the Super Bowl, my dad took his Bears flag and ran over the bridge in town with it in the middle of a fucking snowstorm. Like,
that is awesome.
Like, that Bears love is just like it's in my blood, and like
it's resonated.
People who don't have that kind of love for a sports team, they just don't understand it. Like, I sit there and I watch the Bears, and when they're losing, and like I could easily be like, oh yeah, this game is fucking out of control, I'm going to change the channel. I sit there and I'm like, you know what? It's
not over
till
it's over.
That's right. My love for this team. There's always a little hope left,
And you're like, what a comeback that would be.
That would be. And it never was, right? It was never one.
I think I've said that so many times. My wife at this point's like, yeah, if they're losing by more than 7 in the fourth quarter, it's over.
Yeah, and that's kind of how it was. But like, I sit there and I stew and I watch, and especially when they play like the Packers, I'm like, you know what? Like, I deserve this pain. I deserve it. But then when they finally, when they finally reach a Super Bowl victory in my lifetime, because they did not do that before I was born.
2024.
It's going to be like the Cubs was one thing. When the Cubs won the World Series, that was something because of just how historic it was, right? 108 years and all that shit. So like that was just like so many generations of Cubs fans coming together for a moment in history that will never happen again, probably. Two teams, the whole scenario around that World Series was just two teams that have not won in such a long time, but
Game 7,
overtime, rain delay, like that shit.
Man.
Sidebar, or we're going to take a little side street here. My dad and I were with my brother and a couple buddies watching. My dad was at the house watching the game, and the Cubs started to win, so he came out to watch the game with us. And then the Indians at the time, they came back and tied the game, and he goes, no, I gotta go back to the house and sit in my spot. So he did. And then the rain delay happened, and then the Cubs won. But like, for the Bears, for this team to get to see behind the scenes of this new era of Bears football, right? Like, new president.
This is the start of something great.
Right. We're going to hear about, the new president. We're going to see potential talks of a new stadium, right? That they're still trying to figure out where the hell they're going to live in the next few years. You're going to see this rookie phenom quarterback that is, if he's half of what he's built to, he's already the best quarterback you've ever had in your franchise.
Right. Exactly.
So, and on top of that, you get a wide receiver room that has a rookie that's touted as one of the top rookie wide receivers, a wide receiver that is top 12 wide receiver in the NFL in his prime. And then you have a Hall of Fame caliber wide receiver who's there to help guide them all in this. A tight end room that's solid. You have a running back room that's solid. Like,
it's crazy.
Oh, I'm getting a little
it is
excited.
Literally
slow down here.
On paper, this is the best offense the Chicago Bears have ever fielded.
Yeah,
in the
without a doubt.
Probably.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean,
looking at the receiver depth alone, and then you go out and you add Everett at tight end to give him another big body target in the red zone.
Who's familiar with the offense.
Right. You've got Keenan Allen, who is a guy that will just catch anything and run for an average of 17 yards. Keenan Allen's stats last season were
crazy. Nuts. And he missed, 7 games, 6 games? And he still had over 1,000? He still had over 1,000? All right, let me
pull it up.
I'm the stat guy. You're right.
Yeah, you absolutely are for that reason, my friend. But Keenan Allen, absolutely phenomenal season last year. Even missing games to have over 1,000 yards is wild. At 31 years old, I mean, Keenan Allen is an absolute steal for a fourth rounder.
He played 13 games last year. 13 games, had 1,200, just over 1,200 yards receiving, 7 touchdowns.
That's absolutely wild, Ace.
Yeah, it's crazy. And you throw him into a mix of a guy with DJ Moore, who had a phenomenal season last year.
Right.
And Rome Odunze, who is, I mean, all off season before the draft, all you heard was how much him and Caleb Williams loved each other and wanted to play together. And now you have that duo. So
Ace, I don't know if you had the chance to watch the 1920 Football Drive draft recap that the Bears did, but really good. That was about an hour long, and I sat through it all to kind of see what the draft room was like, the pre-draft process, and it was clear they knew for months, at least 2 months, that they were going to draft Caleb Williams.
They knew the moment they lost the game to Green Bay.
They knew if Rome was there at 9, they were taking him.
Right.
He was the number 1 receiver on their draft board. Right or wrong.
And that's the thing about this new era, right? Is they have it in their minds. Hey, we know what we want to do, and we're gonna do it. We're not gonna overthink it. We're not gonna try to second guess ourselves out of making a decision. Like
we're not gonna Ryan Pace our way into drafting.
Right, like
Trubisky.
Like you were talking about the behind the scenes thing. There's a clip I believe that I watched on, I don't know if it was TikTok or Facebook or wherever, where they're sitting there when the Giants are up, and Poles is like, "We
chewing
should
his gum like a madman."
Yeah, he's like, "We should try to move up to get Rome," and then Malik Neighbors goes to New York, and
then Denver shocks everybody and takes Michael Penix Jr. and
yes, weird.
Rome Odunze was organically there.
Yeah,
so I have not found a thing other than Velus Jones that I don't like about Ryan Poles. But the way that man maniacally chews his gum, somebody needs to talk to him. I don't know if he's in that clip. He was
but I mean, he was pretty nervous. He was
aggressive chewing, big aggressive chewing. But if that's the worst thing I can say about the guy, he's doing all right. I mean, I crowned him the best general manager ever of the Chicago Bears, and you were like, hold on, what about Jerry Angelo? And I said, fuck Jerry Angelo. So
I like Jerry Angelo, the bias of the name, I guess.
Yeah, you can't let those things dictate your media presence, Ace.
But
you can do whatever you want.
Right. This is my show. I mean, this is our show. Our show. It says up there in the little corner, right?
Yeah,
there,
I know.
With Ace and Taribill.
Yeah, I know.
The old show didn't say that. I made this show just for us.
It's a step in the right direction. Maybe in year 5, I'll get my own logo. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
So I didn't make my logo. My son's mother created my logo, and I just kind of carried it with me. I got to get a new logo. That's what I'm kind of getting at.
Yeah,
anybody out there who does logos, maybe they could get 2 poker chips, one with Tarbill's face, one with my face, and then we have a better
I'm
logo.
a pretty default face.
You look like you kind of look like you ever play the Wii? Remember like Wii Sports?
Yeah,
I think you probably were.
All right.
I think you were in that game.
All right. Angelo Ace Camacho has been removed from the stream for violating. I'm just kidding. But no, ultimately, man, back to what we were talking about.
That might have been the best line I've ever had live on a show.
We just segued for like 15 minutes there.
We did.
And as great as it is to relive glory days of the Chicago Cubs winning the World Series, we are here to talk about how excellent the Chicago Bears are going to be in this upcoming 2024-2025 season.
Okay.
So August 6th, I believe it is the first episode of Hard Knocks, right?
Yep. Seems so far away.
Well, the Hall of Fame game is the first game, and that's the last week of August, right?
Yeah. So they're going to do the training camp, and then they'll do usually the first episode's like getting familiar with the team.
Right.
And then the second episode is usually a game.
Okay.
And then they make cuts, the third episode, they play the second game. And then the fourth episode is the third game. And then the fifth episode is where they cut down to the final roster and get you hyped for the rest of the season.
So the one thing I do have to say about this Hard Knocks journey, as awesome as it's going to be, I selfishly would have liked to see the in-season Hard Knocks be the Chicago Bears rather than this off-season training camp.
Why can't they do both? They just keep the cameras there, and
they will absolutely not do both.
They should.
I bet you
the ratings for Hard Knocks this year are going to be crazy.
They forfeited a home game and are playing in London because they didn't want the in-season Hard Knocks. They're not going to do both.
Yeah.
Which is crazy that the NFL penalizes teams for not wanting to be on a show on HBO, but I rest my case. Looking at our next, not our next topic here, but to continue down the Hard Knock Life road, it is a Hard Knock Life for us. Storyline you are most intrigued with, Ace. Who will shine and who do you feel is under too much pressure? I'm going to let you answer first, and then I will pivot this back to you.
All right. So Hard Knocks, they always pick, a specific couple players that they follow. Last year, it was a lot of the wide receivers for the Jets were a big focus point. The year before that, I think it was like the running back room of Dallas was a big deal. Yep. I think a big focal point, and it's hard, right? Because obviously the wide receiver room is sexy, right? That's the sexy room to go into. You look at that, you're like, that's the one.
What about the defense? What about the secondary?
Okay, maybe, but we'll get to your take.
Okay, go ahead.
I think I'm most intrigued to see the running back room, just because
because it's going to be DeAndre Swift and nobody else. I'm kidding.
And Roschon Johnson. I think you see Herbert either get cut or moved.
I think you see him get moved. I don't think you see.
Yeah, I don't think you see him get cut, but I definitely see a scenario where they move him. Maybe, I don't know. The running backs.
I thought they were going to move him for a draft pick during.
So did I.
Honestly, I'm surprised they didn't, but
because realistically.
So what room?
If you have an above average offensive line, a running back is going to have success. It doesn't really matter who they are.
So you want to see them in the running backs room for the Chicago Bears, is what you're saying.
I think that's where they're going to focus on. But obviously the sexy pick is the wide receivers. You get to watch Rome. I think the quarterback room is obviously going to be the one that shines out because of Caleb, but
there's not really a storyline there too much.
Right. You're not going to be like, Tyson Bagent's going to threaten Caleb Williams to take his
noodle arm is going to,
no shot.
Tyson Bagent's going to be the third quarterback on this depth chart. I think the guy from the University of Kentucky is going to beat him out for the backup spot. Bold prediction. You heard it here first, folks.
Okay, mark it down. 9:26 p.m. Central Time, 5:31.
2024.
TB, third string.
I really don't care who the backup to the backup.
I was at Tyson Bajan's very first game as a professional against the
you watched him
throw
for 100.
Yeah, it was a slow burn. Let's just say that. Yeah. It was a slow burn that game.
That's a game that I would have bought too much expensive beer and fell asleep in the stands.
Well, that's the problem. That's the problem, right? That's
a problem.
That's the problem is I got the tickets thinking Fields was going to play, and then
right. You didn't
buy hurt the freaking week before.
It
reminds me of when I was a kid. I got tickets to see the Heat and the Bucks play when Shaq played for the Heat, and the game before the Heat game, the day before that Shaq got injured, I didn't get to see him play. It's just how it is. Well, every guy I buy tickets to go see, they never play.
So since you bring up Shaq, do you remember the movie Shazam with Sinbad when you were a kid?
Yeah, there's this thing going around on the internet, right? Of like nobody remembers that movie.
Never existed. Yeah,
I don't get that movie existed,
and they're saying it was Shaq, and people are like,
no, that's Kazam.
Yeah, how do you confuse Sinbad and Shaq?
Yeah, they're not even close.
Shaq's a full 3 feet taller than Sinbad.
Yeah,
maybe not 3 feet, but
I probably close.
Probably pretty close.
At least 1.5 feet.
No, but in all seriousness, guys, back to the Hard Knocks storyline that I think the Bears are going to have the cameras heavily focused on the wide receiver room. Ace, you called it sexy. I think it's logical. There's not really a make or break story there. Maybe Velus Jones if he still is somehow on the roster. But
I don't see how he makes the roster. I truly don't.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't. Tyler Scott's obviously your clear-cut number 4 at this point.
You got rookies
your 1, 2, and 3 are obvious in no such order. I think schematically you're going to see Shane Waldron and the receiver room do a lot of different formations where Rome's the one in this scenario, DJ's the one in this scenario, and
real quick, we got a lot of people watching right now, so feel free to chime in and hit up the comment section. Like, there's a bunch of you guys out there, and I know Bears fans like me and T. You guys got opinions and shit. Let us hear it.
Yeah, drop a comment in the chat, guys. We will bring it up on screen. Also, I think that without a doubt, the formations are going to change. I think you'll see Keenan Allen stay in the shallow cross a lot of the time this season in that intermediate area of the field as the number 2 receiver. But that's what he's good at. He's known for just taking a shallow cross route and catching the ball and getting 17 yards.
15 yards, yeah.
Yeah, that's something as a young quarterback you need those safety valves, right? Cole Kmet obviously at the tight end position is going to be another guy who's, I would think, has to shine. I mean, he was a favorite of Justin Fields and had almost 1,000 yards with that guy. And I mean, that was probably because Cole was his first read on most of the content.
Well, right. He didn't get past his first read. I just listened to ESPN 1000 and
did you?
Yeah, I do that a lot. And they were talking about Justin and how it was weird that no reports ever came out how unsteady he was in the pocket.
That's probably why George didn't want Hard Knocks there last year.
Yeah,
would have showed that Fields could only read his first 2 reads.
Well, and then the report came out about like him being an asshole with Nick Foles' his rookie season and like refused to like take any advice. And I don't know.
Dick Nick, the Super Bowl champion,
That's right.
He didn't want to take any advice from him. Are you serious?
I guess not. The guy was a Super Bowl champion, beat Tom Brady,
Super Bowl MVP.
Special. Right? That's right. Super Bowl MVP, which is a wild story also, but that's for a different time.
In and of itself. And then the team is like, yeah, we don't care how good you were, Nick. We're going with Carson.
Yeah.
Look how that played out.
Thanks for winning a Super Bowl for us. See you later.
Yeah, in hindsight, I feel like that was one of probably the worst quarterbacks.
Hindsight is my favorite way to look at life.
Hindsight is 2020.
Always 2020. That's what they say.
That's what they say, and we both wear glasses or contacts. So.
That's right.
2020 up in here.
No.
But no, I mean, looking at this upcoming Hard Knocks, I think it's going to be wide receiver room focused. We touched on that.
Yep.
Who will shine? I think the next question of who will shine and who will receive too much pressure, or what group will receive too much pressure, I think that obviously goes to the man on the right in the graphic on the bottom left corner of the screen with the bear claw.
Bear claw, yeah.
He actually corrected Eberflus. He was like, "Oh, you're doing the bear down," and he's like, "No, it's bear down," which I thought was funny. But,
it is cool. I love that he's especially because before the draft, everybody was like, he doesn't want to go to Chicago. He never wants to go there. They're trash. They're gonna ruin him. And he's embraced the shit out of this team and the city. He's at games. He's doing claws everywhere. Like, this dude is ride or die for this team right now.
He is absolutely everything you wanted to see. And it just goes 100%. To prove that the bullshit narrative artists like Colin Cowherd, because honestly, I still hate Colin Cowherd to this day.
Yeah.
Out there saying, "Oh, he doesn't want to play in Chicago," and then Caleb's camp says, "Whoa, what are you talking about? Yeah. We never said that."
Yep.
All these things that happened during the offseason that are so irrelevant now. Caleb Williams is our quarterback. He is the future of the Chicago Bears, for better or worse.
The guy right there.
So I'm just saying, the bear down, the bear claw, whatever you want to call it. It is officially bear down, but
Bears are like the it girl of the NFL right now. Like they're the prom queen. They're the ones that
you mentioned ESPN 1000.
Yes, sir.
During the break between the morning show, between the morning show and Carmen and Yurko, they play Greenie.
Yeah, nobody listens to Greenie. You listen to Greenie? You're the one guy?
So what I was going to say is Mike Greenberg, being a former Chicago, formerly covering Chicago for ESPN at the start of his career, he keeps up on the Bears, and on Get Up, he has stated several times since the Bears drafted Caleb Williams that he thinks the Bears are a playoff contention team.
Yeah.
And I think it's definitely not unrealistic or unheard of to say that the Bears will be in the playoffs this season, given the tremendous amount of talent that is around this organization. However, if they don't make the playoffs, if this team, I'm just going to say, worst case.
Hold on. Don't put any negativity into the universe here.
Okay, well, I'm bringing some negativity into the universe.
No. All right.
If things don't go the way we think they're going to, and the Bears win only, let's say, 9 games, that's the lowest, absolute worst scenario. They lose 3 or 4 heart-crushing losses, something like that. Mm-hmm. Absolute worst case scenario, they win 9 games and miss the playoffs. If you see Caleb Williams throw for 4,000 yards in those 9 games, and it's just dumb luck that they lose more games,
which could happen.
Which could happen. I'm okay. The number one thing that I want to see this season is the proper development of our quarterback of the future.
Right.
That is absolutely
without a doubt. We've never watched a quarterback get developed properly, right? Like Mitch played okay his first season, and then it just never developed.
So I think Shane Waldron's the guy to do it, right?
Yeah. I mean, look what he did with Geno Smith, right?
With Geno Smith. Some will argue that was Dave Canales. I guess we'll see.
Right.
It was all Dave Canales.
With our luck, no negativity. I'm knocking on the wood.
Get out of here.
No negativity.
Realistically, I think it's an exciting thing to see rookie season we've got Caleb Williams developing in front of our eyes, especially with the Hard Knocks coming aboard. We're going to get to see him grow in real time, and that's going to be something that's really cool that hopefully 5 years from now, Ace, when we're sitting on our television
Second Super Bowl victory, yeah, that would be nice. It'd be fucking great. Let's speak that into the universe.
And we are talking about the Bears going on a second or third Super Bowl run.
Yeah.
We could be the next Kansas City Chiefs, baby. There's no reason we can't. That's all I'm saying.
Kansas City? Shit. We could be the next New England Patriots.
But I don't want to cheat to get there. That's why I said I misinterpreted.
Fair.
No, you didn't misinterpret shit. You cheated, Belichick.
Fair. That's fair.
So that's about as fair as Belichick banging a bunch of New England moms and getting caught on door cams leaving at 7:00 in the morning.
Yeah, that's true. That they talked about that on the roast of Tom Brady's roast and shit. That's fantastic.
Did they really?
Yeah, that's a good shit.
So that was legit him. I wasn't 100%
supposedly.
Sure. I mean, if he didn't deny it,
I had somebody just text me. Okay. If we're lucky, the Bears will be the next Detroit Lions.
The next Detroit Lions? Detroit Lions as of late, or Detroit, either way, that's a burn to the Chicago Bears.
I know. That's what the point was. They're lying over there, literally lying to themselves.
So I guess if we are Matthew Stafford's rookie season with Megatron, Detroit Lions good, then maybe I'm okay.
I want to set the bar a little higher than Jared Goff for my quarterback. That's just me.
Jared Goff is great at dinking and dunking his way to 4,000 yards a season. I will say that.
It takes care of the football. Can't argue,
Yeah,
that's half the battle, really. You don't turn the ball over, and you're more likely going to win the game. And
for sure,
that's just something the Bears are not good at doing, is protecting the ball.
So that's one thing. I'm glad you said that, Ace, because that brings me back to Caleb Williams is just as athletic of a runner as Justin Fields, I would say, or pretty damn close.
Pretty close.
He's shown that he can scramble effectively, but then you know what he can do? He can stop and hit his third read for a nice touch pass or whatever,
Right.
I digress. But I want to see little to no fumbles out of Caleb Williams this season. It was always so cringy in the Justin Fields era to just see Fields run for 17 yards and then bam, he's holding the football out here, holding it 7 yards. No, not 7 yards away, but
a good, especially in crunch time. He was one of the worst quarterbacks, statistically, one of the worst quarterbacks in crunch time. I think Russell Wilson was worse last year, and ironically, they're both on the same team this year. So
that's dangerous to you.
Yeah, he was so dangerous. Didn't they get rid of his sandwich at Subway? They were like, "Oh, this guy's terrible."
Danger witch? I don't know.
Stupid.
Not a big Subway fan. It's all.
But yeah, if Caleb could just hold on to the ball,
is all low key processed turkey that's just flavored.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
Yeah, I haven't been to Subway in probably 2 years at least.
We're getting a Jersey Mike's out here in my town.
Hey, man. Jersey Mike's. Okay.
We are stepping up in the world.
All right.
And Ace, the next time you come down here, we may have our Marriott up and running too, man.
Hey, I got Jersey Mike's and a place to stay. Let's go.
This is right down the road.
What better?
Casey's within walking distance. You're set. Every Midwesterner's dream.
What better, man? What better? I'm more of a pizza guy myself. I usually when I go down to around the Crystal Lake area, I'm a big Rosati's guy. That's my go-to. So
we got a Rosati's out here too, buddy.
Oh, look at this! Looks like I found out where I'm moving.
Not in my city, but within a 15-minute drive.
15 minutes. That just gets you more hungry when you pick the pizza up, or when it's on its way.
Yeah, I mean, I go dine in if I'm driving more than 10 minutes for pizza. I dine in.
Yeah, I guess
I don't
that's true.
Cold, but
yeah, I usually deliver. That's just because.
This is completely unrelated, but since you brought up delivery,
we've been unrelated for most of this show, which is okay because I think it's working.
It's working. Can we just talk about how DoorDash is like, it's robbery, man.
It's fucking expensive.
It is crazy how DoorDash, Uber Eats, all these food delivery services, like they upcharge you 35% on the meal and then turn around and still charge you a delivery fee. And oh, by the way, none of that goes to the driver, so you need to tip them.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
for real. You can end up dropping. Dude, so I had ordered Rosati's a few months ago when I was down in Crystal Lake, and a pizza. I think I got wings.
Okay.
And some cheesy garlic bread.
$60.
That was like $70.
Jeez.
70.
That is wild.
And then I had to tip. Like, that's crazy.
And we're not talking Pequod's, we're not talking Lou's, Rosati's is good.
Like,
but
it's good, but it ain't $70 plus a tip. Then I had to tip on top of that, and I'm not a stingy tipper. So it was like 20%. Don't go out to eat. It was like $82 and some change.
I hope we don't lose any followers because of that. But you know what? If you're too stingy to tip,
we don't need those kind of stingy people watching us,
man. Those poor waitresses are making $4 an hour.
That's right.
Dealing with your bullshit. The least you can do is tip them 20%.
Oh, let me tell you. So since we're already on this bullshit customer thing, I love my grandfather to death, right? I hate going out to eat with that man.
Angelo
it is
the first.
I call him Angelo Classic because he's the first one.
Gotcha.
So like when he comes over, I'm like, "What's up, Classic?" And he's fucking got this real thick accent, and so like
your grandpa lives in Florida now, right, or something?
Arizona now, but yeah, and he nothing worse, right? Than when you're a good customer or a good person when you go out to and you're with somebody.
Let me stop you there. Is he the type of guy that's like, "Hey, miss, come over here to the table," you know what I mean? Or
he's the kind of guy that if it's not exactly what he wants, like exactly what he wants, oh, I don't want metal silverware, I want plastic. Like, how old are you? Plastic?
Right.
Plastic? Come on. No. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, I am not
That's
him.
a serious example. This man asked for plastic silverware at a restaurant.
Yes. On my son.
I'd have got up
on my
and walked
son's
out.
life. He's multiple times. And
you want plastic silverware? Bring your own plastic silverware.
He's got this weird thing about them cleaning the silverware the right way. So he eats with plastic because it comes in like that package. So he opens plastic and eats with it and then throws it out. So
it's like an OCD type.
Yeah, I guess, but it's still really awkward and real annoying. And I just sit there. I'm like, I don't know. He's old. What do you expect?
I go to dinner with my wife's grandpa. He's the type of guy that'll be like, hey, you come here to the waitress. Or like, he'll be like asking the same questions over and over again. Do I get fries with that? Do I get fries with that? Like real aggressive about it. And I'm just like,
is he? My grandfather's one of those guys that like breaks the bill down to make sure that there's no discrepancies on what is supposed to be on there. He's like, oh, okay. What is this? What's this that we had? Okay.
Type of guy to check the check.
Yeah.
Ain't never getting robbed. Shout out to Lil Dicky.
Oh man.
We have gone off on a tangent here, my friend. Let's circle back.
That's all right though.
Wrap up. And let's just appreciate for a minute, guys.
I just got a text from my dad. My
He's
dad
like,
didn't
Grandpa's
appreciate
watching,
me.
you're grounded.
My dad didn't appreciate me talking about my grandpa that way. In fairness, my grandfather had worked in the restaurant industry his whole life. Like, he came from Puerto Rico to the mainland, was in Chicago, worked his way into restaurants. Then he was like in charge of a few restaurants and shit. I was little back in the day at one point, and I used to help make cheesecake in his restaurant, which was pretty cool. I kind of ran that place at like 4 years old, so it's whatever. So.
All right, yeah, I feel like now you're gonna get another text message from your dad saying don't lie to the audience, but
whoa, lying has never been a strong suit of mine.
So, guys,
my dad did tell me that my grandfather got them kicked out of their favorite restaurant when he was a kid. So, just to tie a nice bow on this story and go forward.
I don't know how to live up to that, man. That's all I'm saying. I mean,
no. This has been my favorite show we've done.
Grandparents are the best, man.
This has been my favorite show we've done. I needed this.
I don't even know how to tie this back to the Bears. George
McCaskey, you just say George McCaskey was umpiring.
She's probably a great grandparent. She's like 100 years old, so
probably like a great grandparent at this point.
Right.
Her kids are the age of my grandfather.
Absolutely. 100%. Probably a little older. So the Chicago Bears are going to be on Hard Knocks, Ace. It's a great time to be alive, a great time to be a Chicago Bears fan, man. There's so much to be excited about in this wonderful city that most of us get to call home. You reside up there in Wisconsin, so
yeah. Trash.
Put you in a mansion.
I'm trash, okay? I'm trash up here. Sorry.
So we're probably going to get DC.
I'm really hoping, though, that this is the year where, like, I no longer have to be, like, ridiculed for being a Bears fan.
You no longer have to take shit from the Packers fans because the Bears are actually going to be good. And
like, the worst part is, like, I'm not, like, a big shit talker when it comes to the Bears because they're just not good and I'm not dumb.
You got
to pick your battles, you know what I mean? Right. Like, you can't just be like, yeah, if the Packers suck, like they don't.
The first year I've worked for my boss now for like almost 5 years, the big boss, and he is a diehard Packers fan. And this man twice a year says to me, "Oh, we're gonna dominate the Bears. You're gonna be sorry come Monday. You're not gonna want to talk to me." I am so ready to just stand at his door with a smile on my face when the Bears beat the Packers 30-something to 20.
Can I say this about this narrative about beating the Packers?
It's the most important thing.
No shot. I listened to so many people say, well, as long as I beat the Packers twice a year, I'll be happy. I would lose 2 games every single year, both to the Packers, if it meant the Bears made the playoffs and won Super Bowls. I don't care. I want this team to win championships. Winning a season game against the Packers, nah, I'm good. The ultimate goal is a championship, and beating the Packers suck. Packers do suck. I love that.
The ultimate goal is a Super Bowl championship. You are right, my friend. And
right.
I couldn't agree with you more on that one. I can't think of a better way to end this show for the evening as we approach the hour mark, Ace. Guys, we have had a lot of fun tonight talking Chicago Bears, talking a little bit of everything, and we appreciate each and every one of you for joining us. So the followers that are still with us in the live stream, please do be sure to go follow the Undefeated Sports Network on all major platforms so you get notified when Ace and I and the other guys as well go live. We are on YouTube. We have a Facebook group. We would love you all to join as well, where we post content daily. So
head to my TikTok, get me 1,000 followers so that I could start going live on there. That'd be cool.
Absolutely. Head over to Ace's TikTok and give him a follow there as well, guys. We appreciate each and every one of you. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow, and have a good night. We will see you all next week at the same time.